listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Quinn here. We're back with episode 72 of the Money Monopolizers podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing ecstatic, bro, because you already know how the episode just went. That was one of our absolute best episodes we've had because of how applicable the information was. But as far as how I'm doing in general, I'm really just, I think everything you said last week, because if anybody listened to the episode last week, Alex really went very in depth into like the window of opportunity that we have as just like in America right now, with the fact that all this information is out here and we're able to take a full advantage and start any business, anything that we want to do. We're able to literally do it right now. That window of opportunity is so short. And I when I was listening to it, I'm like, bro, I just wanted to comment so bad on it. So this is me commenting on the episode from last week because I think Alex mentioned that, yeah, we had communication issues last week, but for sure, glad to be back. And it's just, the window of opportunity is short as far as like taking advantage of all these business opportunities and just being able to make money in all these different ways, because in about 5 to 10 years, bro, it's going to be so different. We was already talking about this beforehand, but the way things are currently is not how it's going to be. And I'm saying all this because earlier this week, I've got another rental car for our rental car business. I purchased it and then I listed it. As I was listing it, I posted it on Turo, and then I had started like adding in extra details, like just like how long is it would be rented out for, just extra little details. While I was doing all that, somebody had already booked it, and I had it listed for like $40 per day. And I know for a fact that as people start getting onto that platform, it's going to oversaturate the market, just how like real estate is and how people are overpaying for deals. People are going to start undercutting you on your prices because they're like, people are going to start listing for like 30s and 20s in order to make the deal work. And so that stuff is coming. Like, the guarantee is more people learn about this stuff. I would say 3 to 5 years from now, it's going to look like that. And I'm a firm believer in like this window of opportunity is short. So take full advantage of it. And I'm just glad to be in the midst of it all.
Yeah, man. Well, it's good to have you back. I had to talk alone last week, but it's all good. We got it done. But I think, what you said is 100% right. I was thinking about it so much last week because, I was just thinking about how easy it is to start a business now today and to start making money. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, I'm not going to say her name, and she was saying how she made $18,000 last month just from selling her courses. And I was like, crazy. Like, that is what you can literally be doing off of Instagram. Like, you making that off of Instagram, $18,000 in a month. And I'm like, yo, it ain't gonna be like this. Like, so I'm thinking like, yo, you gotta take advantage of this opportunity right now. Take this money and put this money into long-term assets, right? Short-term money got to go to long-term assets, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's a business that's going to be a long-term business, something that is going to be able to take care of you for the rest of your life. I don't mess with the 401k because to me, this is my retirement. It's like, those long-term retirement assets. That's I bet on myself. If I get to age 65 and, I don't have nothing, well, I lost. So I failed. So, but I highly doubt that'll happen. I mean, I have, 40 years, so I think I'll be all right. But to me, like, this opportunity right now, man, if you don't take advantage of it, you're going to be kicking yourself in 2026, in 2030, whenever you're looking back and, you was listening to the Money Monopolizers and you was listening to people tell you this and you didn't take any action because of whatever reason. No matter what reason you have, whatever reason you could tell me, it's a terrible excuse. There's no reason not to take advantage. So I don't want to hear nothing about any type of excuse. So, that being said, stop making excuses, start taking action, man. Like, and I think we talked about that today in this episode too. Everybody is a tire kicker. It's frustrating too, because it's like, I know people buy my course too, and it's like, they haven't even taken action on it. So it's like, dude, you're just making people rich. You just making people rich.
Pretty much.
Stop buying courses and not taking action. I'm a big advocate of buying courses, but you got to take action. Stop making me rich and go take action on it. Nah, keep buying my course, but
link in see some results from it at least. Come on, bro. Like to take what you mentioned in the podcast, it was just like golden information saying, if I'm gonna invest money into somebody else's course, I'm doing it with the intent to take action and get a return on my investment. That's the key to the key to all of it. If you're gonna pay for information, at least take action on what's being told to you when you take the course, instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, that was a pretty nice course." Yeah. All right, well, on to the next course. Like, don't do that.
It's like, come on, bro. But yeah, we are also still doing the giveaways for reviews, right? So if you leave a review, send a screenshot, take a screenshot, send it to the Money Monopolizers Instagram page DMs. We are entering you into the giveaway to win the How to Acquire Your First Flipper Rental Property Real Estate course, and also a Money Monopolizer t-shirt of your choice. So be sure to send those reviews. Yo, we at 130. We started this was at 117. I said we're trying to get to 200. So, I need 70 more reviews. Come on, y'all. We could do this.
Way more than 70 of y'all listening. So yeah, definitely can do it. Just take an extra minute.
I know we got hella new listeners right now. So, definitely tap in and, leave a review, man. That we don't ask these just for vanity. They really help the algorithm. Mm-hmm. Like this Apple Podcast is an algorithm that literally is based off of what people's they rank podcasts based off of how people review them and respond to them. Like this is like there's no other database bigger for podcasts than Apple Podcasts. Spotify don't even have a review system. So if you are listening on Spotify, you can go to iTunes and actually rate. If you have an iTunes account, create an iTunes account. You can actually rate our podcast on iTunes. If you are a supporter, I know some people have said, "Man, I want to give you ratings, but I'm on Spotify." Well, I got just the solution for you today. So. But that being said, that's a good segue into the episode today. So today we talked with DeAngelo Watson. Shout out to DeAngelo, man. This episode was fire, man. Drop a bomb for this episode because, we got into it today and we got into a lot of stuff. If you do anything, I would rather you skip to the last 30 minutes.
Yes, if you want to skip to the second half, if you want to be one of those people that don't listen to the whole episode, don't listen to the first half, listen to the second half. This is right. This is information like, bro, this is ABC, XYZ, 1, 2, 3. This is how you make money. So this was game changing.
So, one thing that we're always big on is information, having access to information. That's what we always preach. Like if you have access to information, bro, you already have more than most people. Like, cause that's and that's what we talk about. So like, the wealthy people, that's why they're wealthy, and that's why their kids stay wealthy, because they have access to different information. They're not wealthy because they just happen to get wealthy, because they apply different information than you apply. You apply the information of go to school, get a job, put money in your 401k, save, buy a house. Your house is an asset. That's the information most people apply. What is the result they get? They work until they die, or they hope to have some money in their 401k. So if you want different results, you got to apply different information. So that's what this episode provides, different information. We literally talked about strategies that can literally help you fund your business without any money. So the wealthy own nothing but control everything. And so that's the mindset that you got to start operating in terms of like, how can I get into stuff leveraging OPM, leveraging other people's money? You don't use your own money. I mean, you can, and it's always good. We don't want to be over leveraged. Debt is, always remember, debt is a fire. Fire can burn you, or it can cook food for you, and it can keep you warm. It's very hard to fail right now if you use debt. Like interest rates are at all-time low. Literally, you can get almost free money on so many things. So it's like, come on, man. Listen to this whole thing. Like we said, man, there's a ton of value, a ton of information in here that you can go apply today. While you're listening to it, you can actually be applying.
Take notes. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, man. So let's get into it. What up, DeAngelo? How you doing today, bro?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
You doing well, man. Trying to stay warm.
Indeed, man. I heard y'all weather out there a little crazy.
Man, stupid. This is Texas. We're not supposed to get this cold out in Texas. But, I appreciate you hopping on here. Typically, how we want to start these podcasts is we want to really get into the background of the guests and really, dive into their story so that, I know a lot of our listeners could probably resonate. We're kind of talking beforehand, And we cut you off because it's like, yo, we need to put this on the podcast because this is people need to hear this too. Because this is what's gonna help people, like, oh yeah, I rock with DeAngelo. So can you kind of get into like your background as far as your upbringing with money, what you were doing when you were 18, and kind of how you got to where you are now at this stage?
My mom, she pretty much, because I grew up in a single parent household, my mom, she pretty much told me, you good in math, you may want to go for like an engineering degree or something that's going to pay well. Because she went to school for engineering. So she knew off the bat that, you want to go for a degree that's going to pay you a nice salary starting out, because taking on all those loans, unless you have a scholarship, you'll need to, have a nice amount of starting salary to pay off the loans. So that was kind of like the main thing. She didn't really talk much about money. She did tell me to get a credit card in college and start building up my credit. But outside of that, that was pretty much all the financial teaching that I had growing up. So I went to college, like she said. I started out as a civil engineer. So I thought that's what I wanted to do until I saw all the different like floor plans and all this different type of stuff. And I was like, nah, I don't think civil engineering is what I want to do. Switched my major to computer science. And a lot of people told me I was crazy for switching from civil engineering to computer science. But what happened was I was in the colloquium class in college. So we have like freshman colloquium. And they placed me in the incorrect colloquium. So I was supposed to be in the civil engineer colloquium, but I was in computer science. One of the sessions, they were talking about the starting salaries for computer science. I saw the starting salaries and I'm like, oh, I'm switching my major today. So I ended up switching my major my freshman year at North Carolina A&T, and that's where I started my computer science journey. Graduated from North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, North Carolina in 2015. Started my corporate journey in Dallas, Texas. So I started working with AT&T back in July 2015. I had big dreams to be the CEO of this Fortune 500 company. I came in with my suit, everything like I'm ready. I'm ready to take on this corporate world. And like just being in the corporate arena, though, I saw how it was going to be a struggle for me as a Black man to climb that corporate ladder without, having to go through certain obstacles and do things that I didn't want to do as a Black man, and just, put myself in situations that I feel like you don't really have to do this to get more money. Because really that was the goal, to get, climb the ladder so you can make more money. And I just saw it wasn't, that wasn't the path for me. And one of my coworkers introduced me to this blog called Mr. Money Mustache. So it was about a guy in his mid-30s. He retired early in his mid-30s from investing in low-cost index funds. So that started my journey of looking into the FIRE method, where you retire early, basically financially independent, retiring early. And I started getting into the stocks, learning about index funds, and I read his entire blog. It changed my mindset up completely. I started being more frugal. So I stopped, like, when I first got my job, I started out at a $62,000 salary in Texas, and it's no state tax. So my checks were pretty, they were pretty nice. Every time I got paid, I would literally go to the mall. I would, be shopping, going out to eat, and I wasn't saving my money because I knew I had this corporate job. I'm coming out of college. I was working at Target when I graduated. I was making like $300 every 2 weeks. So, going from that to making $62,000 within a span of like 2 months, at 21 years old, you don't really know how to handle that if you haven't had the financial, education. So I was just spending my money, living check to check. And once I came across that blog, just kept reading it, it changed my mindset to start paying myself first, paying off debt, investing in the stock market. And over that span of a year, I did rack up over I racked up like 6,000 or 7,000 in credit card debt. I transferred my job from Dallas to Atlanta. I moved in with my mom, and I stayed with her for 4 years. So I stayed with her from 2016 to last year, 2020. Throughout those 4 years, I was able to pay off all my credit card debt. I paid down majority of my student loans. I started out at like 40,000. I owe around 16 now. And over the course of those 4 years, came across a lot of entrepreneurs in Atlanta, which again shifted my mindset. It made me want to start my own businesses. I got into the Turo game. That was my first little piece of, outside income from my corporate job. I did that for about a year. It covered my my luxury car that I had at the time. And over those 4 years, I was able to pay down my student loan debt, build up an emergency savings, start my own business. So it was really a good shift for me from going from starting out with my corporate job and then shifting from wanting to retire early with the index funds. And then I had that other shift to start my own business. So just going through the process from 21 to 25, it was definitely a game changer for me, as well as, reading books, podcasts, and things like that too. So just a combination of all of that knowledge gathering, it definitely, it is paying dividends right now in my life.
Man, so that's why I wanted you to get into that, because that's why I was saying people could really resonate with it, because I know I could resonate with that myself too, just based off of the entire story, especially from the beginning too, because it's really funny the fact that you said that whenever you went to college, you started off doing civil engineering and then you switched to computer science. Because actually, when I went to college, I started off doing computer science and I switched to civil engineering. So literally my freshman year of college in 2014, I was doing computer science. I was like, man, these classes are pretty boring. So, let me switch to civil engineering. And so that's what I did. And it's funny because I was actually talking to my mom yesterday about that exact thing. And I was telling her, I was like, man, if I could have did it again, I would have stayed in computer science. Because, a lot of these dudes, they graduated, and some of them, depending on, you could work for Google, Facebook, those kind of companies. Some of these dudes making $200,000 a year, starting off 21, 22 years old. But that's tech, and how old are you right now? 27?
27.
27, yeah. So, even moving along with that too, I mean, you graduated, and it sounds like you didn't, make any like bonehead crazy stupid decisions after you had graduated, college, as far as money and that kind of stuff. So you going to the mall, you eating out, going shopping and that kind of stuff, which is, that's fine. I mean, that's, most 21-year-olds is doing that kind of stuff. So, but you finding Mr. Money Mustache real early was, I feel like, a real game changer, because that's kind of similar to like when we found Rich Dad Poor Dad and that whole concept of financial freedom. It's like, it's a light bulb switch. Everybody has that moment that kind of, makes you, for you, I mean, you saw climbing the corporate ladder was like, dang, that's like not what I want to do, because I don't want to have to, kiss these dudes' butts. But, and in my situation, it was more so like I saw like, man, these dudes 50, 60 years old around me, they still working here. It's 7 o'clock, we in the office. Like, yo, I'm 21. It's okay for me to be in the office right now. But you 50 years old, why are you still in office? Your wife, your kids, they calling, they need you, and you still here in the office. So, everybody has that moment, and the fact that you got it early too is super dope. So, now you obviously, took action on that, and, now the sky's the limit as far as what you could do.
When you started talking about your story, you talked about like how you didn't really know what you wanted to do. You just had a skill. You were good at math. And your mom had put that together because of what she was doing as an engineer. She's like, well, if people that are good at math usually become engineers. And she pretty much tried to give you a direction because you didn't have one. They reminded me of myself, because back when I was in high school, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. And that really comes from lack of exposure. You're not really exposed to what a civil engineer does or what a computer scientist does until you are in that environment. So you didn't see computer science until you got to college. You didn't really even know about civil engineering, because you talk about, man, I started seeing all the layouts of the land and stuff. Like you knew civil engineer as like a name, but didn't know what all that entailed until you got into those courses and like, okay, no, I really don't like this route now that I see what's going on. And I think it's the same thing for like everybody with exposure to financial literacy. I think it's a whole different story. It's like the information change is really changing the game with the way that we're able to get information, because somebody that may have been in the exact same position as you, but 20 years ago, wouldn't have had the same opportunity to like learn something so far ahead of time, such as Mr. Money Mustache was talking about investing in low cost index funds. They wouldn't have learned that at age 21. I think when you saw that, they like if somebody else may have been like 40 and they were finally seeing Mr. Money Mustache come out. So it's like it's a blessing to be in our opportunity in our position at the age that we're in, because we're able to really take advantage of all the information that's being thrown out here at an early age. Because we know some people that's listening to our podcast right now that's 17 years old, and they're getting this information before they even start making money. So now they're going to go out into the workforce, or they're going to go out into the real world and already have the knowledge of how to build generational wealth before they even get started. So it's just like the information that's out here is really changing the game. And I think that really played a role for you, because now you go to Atlanta and you're seeing other entrepreneurs already killing it, because I know Atlanta's like a big entrepreneurship hub. So you see people on Turo, you see people using credit to like trade lines. I know we want to get into that all too, because I know that's what you really focus on. So you see people doing all these things, so now you can implement them into your life, and then you can become a teacher of them. So I really want to start getting into that. Like, what do you currently do today as a result of all this exposure that you've had over the past few years?
So today, pretty much, I'm all about diversification now. So all that knowledge gathering, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just all the knowledge gathering, that cash flow quadrant really stuck with me with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Because now I'm at a point where I am the self-employed business owner, but now I want to be able to, the entrepreneur. So you know how he had the employee, I think it was the entrepreneur that works for himself, and then he had the investor, and then the business owner. I think that's how it was. Mm-hmm. Basically, we want to shift to become the investor and the business owner. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm still hustling. You know, I still got my corporate job. I got a couple businesses that I'm working in, but I want to eventually get to a place where I am the business owner, and I'm not working in the business. I'm working on the business and focusing on how to improve the businesses. I have my businesses. So I have a credit business. I have a trucking business. So I'm steadily reinvesting money into those businesses to, scale it up and improve. I still invest in the stock market. So I have a Roth IRA. So for people who don't know, that's a individual retirement account that's already taxed. So I invest in that. I have my regular brokerage account.
So what I really love about what you're doing is because it's really like a blueprint to, steady wealth. Like what you're doing is literally the foundation of the wealth that you're going to create for many years to come, right? So, 27 years old and you have multiple businesses and you're using the money to reinvest back into other assets, right? You're getting into the paper assets, and you have obviously the Roth IRA and those kind of things, right? So I really think a lot of people should listen to that and understand, like, that is the formula today to build wealth. Like, start a business, take the money from the business and go buy real long-term assets that are going to, be easily available to you, to pass down to the next generation in 50, 60, 70 years. And that's like right now, there's a perfect opportunity to take advantage of, the ease to start a business right now, and the ease of information and the access of information to do whatever business you want. And so one thing I really like that you mentioned was the cash flow quadrant, right? Because that's actually my favorite book in terms of business books, because I love, the perspective of the entrepreneur versus the self-employed business owner. Because, or the big business owner versus the self-employed business owner, because it's a completely different mentality, right? And it sounds like right now you are in the middle of making that switch. The big business, the B, that's the one in that B quadrant. For those that aren't familiar, like you said, there's the employee E quadrant, the self-employed S quadrant. The top right is the B quadrant business, and then the bottom right is the investor. So the business owner, they are all about systems and leveraging other people, right? And creating systems that are going to make their business more automated. And as opposed to the self-employed person, the self-employed entrepreneur business owner, that they just want to do everything themselves. They are the system. Like without them, the business doesn't operate. And so right now it sounds like you're really switching into that mentality, which is, the last few years you've been building that foundation as that S, but now you got to switch to the B and, create it, allow it to now become something that's scalable. Right. You talk about, you have the credit business and even the trucking business as well. Like those things can really, really be scalable. So I love that, because I feel like, everything that you're doing, especially with the credit side, after like reading up about what you're doing and researching on your page and stuff, you're doing a lot with business credit, right? And you have the credit business. So I really want to have that conversation real quick about, the whole, because, I talk a lot about good debt and bad debt and that whole concept of using leverage, right? Before I get into that, can you kind of give me your perspective on the whole concept of using debt and why you think using, credit and all of that is actually so powerful and so important as a new business owner?
So America, for a while, a lot of corporations leverage debt to scale their business. It's nothing new, but it is new to our community. So what I feel like is I want to educate our people, our community, and anybody for that matter on the power of credit if we're leveraging it to create more cash flow. So for example, I pulled out personal lines of credit. So I went to 2 credit unions and I was able to get approved for a total of $37,500 in personal lines of credit that I utilized to fund my trucking business. So that paid for our first truck. And that truck is able to cash flow $20,000 to $25,000 a month so far. We just started in September. It's cash flowing $20,000 to $25,000 a month. And we're on track to pay my lines of credit back within the next, I would say by September. So within like the next 7 months, the line of credit will be paid for. Now we have a trucking business where we utilize OPM, other people's money. So we still have that trucking business. We still have that truck, and we didn't really have to pay out of pocket to fund the business. So that's how, I pretty much feel that credit can be utilized and leveraged to create cash flowing assets whenever we don't have the capital up front or we don't want to use our cash. We can utilize that credit.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted, people to understand, because I love the fact that, that's how you got into trucking. That's amazing. I mean, you essentially got into there with no money, which is, people always talk about, how that, people say doing stuff with no money is a scam and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, it's because you have different information that you're going based off of than what you have, right? And so this is why I always say too that people have to pick who they listen to very wisely, right? Because let's just imagine 5 years ago, whenever you got into this, whole financial freedom thing, had you not read let's say you didn't read Mr. Money Mustache, let's say you found Dave Ramsey, right? Had you found Dave Ramsey, he would have been telling you, stay away from all kinds of debt. Debt is bad. Debt is, the enemy of everything. Like that's the worst thing you could do, right? But, you listen to someone like Robert Kiyosaki or Grant Cardone, those are, obviously Dave Ramsey is wealthy, but he's wealthy for the fact that he tells people not to use debt. You listen to like Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, they're wealthy because they actually leverage debt, right? Even Grant Cardone said literally himself, he wishes he had more debt in 2008. That because whenever, the banks when banks went down, new bank bought all his properties, they called all his loans due. He couldn't pay, right? But if he had more debt, they wouldn't have tried to call his loans due like in 2020, where when COVID hit, they said, hey, how can we help you now? Because now I have $1 billion in real estate instead of 50 million in real estate. And then obviously Robert Kiyosaki talks about that kind of stuff all the time too. So it's like people got to understand that it's not even debt, it's leverage. That's how I want people to understand and think about it. It's like you can say there's like bad debt and then there's leverage. Leverage is what wealthy people use to scale. Wealthy people do not use their own money. You have a finite amount of cash. And that's why I want people to really understand, especially, operating in that B quadrant, leveraging other people's money and other people's time is how you scale a business. And you have to get into that mindset from the beginning. And that's why I love what you did with the trucking thing. I mean, I didn't even get into my truck that way either because I had to put some cash down. But that's because I didn't have all the information that you have now. So it's a whole different ball game. So I love that. But I really wanted to emphasize that point on understanding that debt is not bad if you're using it to create cash flow. If you're using it to buy nonsense, stay away from it. But if you're using it to buy cash and money, it's amazing.
And even for the college kids, like just looking at a degree that's going to pay you out. So you want to like look at your return on investment. For example, let's say you go to school for, I don't know, like you go to school to dance or something. You get a dancing degree and you can't get a job after college because you didn't look at the starting salaries. You didn't look at the demand for that particular, discipline. So even like just leveraging debt on that aspect of student loan debt and seeing how much you can make starting out. So like, I know that's what I did. And I would highly recommend, college students or high school students that's about to go to college, Google and see what the starting salary is for that particular major that you want to go to school for. See if it makes sense compared to the cost of the college of that tuition for that particular school.
Yeah. I think that's a huge point you just hit on, because what you're really looking at is your return on investment, because you know that when you go to college, you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars in order to get that college degree. But what is going to be your return on like how much for one time investment, you spend in 4 years to get a degree, and then what type of return are you going to get each year as a result of all that time you just put in and all the money you just paid? So now you're going to be paying student loans. So let's say you have 60,000 student loans, but your starting salary as a dancer is 20 or 30,000. It's like, okay, so now unless you're just not going to live off of any of your money, you're going to be paying this for quite a while, because that 30,000 has to go to your actual living expenses, has to go to like some type of, like food and shelter and things like that. Then you got to be paying down the student loan debt. So now you're pretty much putting yourself in a hole right out of college. And I think, the point I'm trying to make is that people need to look at their return on investment on whatever education that they're getting. Because I know for you were looking into like different courses and different educational platforms that teach you about how to do all this other stuff like trucking, like credit repair and things like that. And people will look at those type of avenues of education and buck back at it or something. Like they're like, oh no, that's too much money to be spending in that regard. But I know that I was just looking at your Instagram page. You were talking a lot about the return on investment on like the things you're able to get from those particular platforms as opposed to the traditional way of going to college. Can you talk a little bit more about like that, like return on investment on different educational platforms?
Of course. So I'm really big on, like you said, ROI, return on investment, knowing how much money you're putting in and the potential of what you can make coming out of it. So like, for example, last year I released my ebook. So I got an ebook, The Financially Fit Blueprint, and I did some influencer marketing. I was able to grow my following. I came across my mentor, his name Him500, Marcus Barney on Instagram. I watched him for a while, looked at his lives, attended his free masterclass session, and his program was 5,000. So in the meantime, I was building out my ebook money. I had started a trade line business as well that I learned just from watching his videos on Instagram. Started my own trade line business, and I was building up the capital. And eventually I got to a point where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna make this investment into this program. It was the most amount of money I've ever, put into my education outside of my college degree. So I was a little nervous, making that investment. But I knew that I had the execution. I knew that I could execute off information. And that's a major key when it comes to, investing in any type of mentorship or any type of program. You have to have that execution gene in your body. Everybody don't have that execution gene. So I knew that whatever information I had, I was going to be able to apply it. So I invested the money into the program. I took the program in July, and it literally scaled my business because I started the credit repair business after the program, but it scaled my credit business from, I was making like 5,000, I think, in July off the business, to now where I'm consistently making 15 to 20,000 a month just off the credit business. So taking that information that he gave during those 4 weeks and applying it to my situation, it helped me to get my money back, within like a month or two off of that program. And the crazy thing is, he actually brought me on to be a coach for his last like live class. He had his final live mentorship program in November, and he brought me and 3 other of his past mentees to be a coach for his class. He actually paid me $5,000 to be a coach for that November class. So I made my money back off of that. Right. In addition to me starting the credit repair business and improving my trade line business, so it was definitely worth the money. So I would just, I would highly suggest people to know their strengths, know what they can do before they invest into a program. Because there's a lot of people who buy stuff and they never use it because they know, some people, they just don't execute. So you want to make sure that you really going to take this stuff serious before you invest in any type of mentorship or education.
Yeah, man. We call those tire kickers. People, it's a lot of people out there that's out there, they have to use car a lot, kicking that tire, shaking the car back and forth. Yo, does this got 4-wheel drive? Does this one, does it have heated steering wheels? And it's like, yo, are you going to do anything? Are you going to buy the car? Are you going to keep shaking it, kicking the tires? And it's because at the end of the day, it's like, there's so much information out there, especially now. Like and it's honestly got to a point where, there's a positive and a negative aspect to all this information. The good thing is that you have the information. The bad thing is that people get an analysis paralysis now. It's like you have so many options now. You don't even know who to listen to now. You got DeAngelo telling you, yo, you got to do this. You got, Alex telling you this. You got Marlon telling you. You got people telling you all these kind of things. And it's like, okay, what do I even do? So now you just, you get into that purgatory state and you don't do anything. So that's like the worst thing you could do. People you got to decide on something and take action.
I think that was big though, because one thing you did make an emphasis to point out is that you knew that you were going to take action once you invested in this course. Like this $5,000, that this is an investment in myself that I expect to get a return return on investment for. And so going in with that mentality, like you're not just taking a course just to take a course and get more information. You're going to be very strategic about utilizing the things that you learn and applying it into the real world situations. And so I want to really dive a little bit more into like what you educate people on, because of the fact that you were talking about how you were able to get a line of credit to purchase your truck. And that's something that I know a lot of people will be interested in doing, but at the same time, they may not have their credit in the right position or the right frame, like just in the right state in order to capitalize on something like that. So I know you have Financially Fit Blueprint. Is that something that you really discuss a lot about, like repairing your credit and things of that nature?
Out of the ebook Financially Fit Blueprint, I created my business. It's called FFB Enterprises. And with this business, I started my trade line business. So for people who don't know, trade lines, it's another name that credit bureaus refer to as credit accounts. So a student loan, an auto loan, a credit card are all classified as trade lines, towards the credit bureaus. What I do is I sell authorized user spots on credit cards. So like if a person doesn't have any family or friends that they can become an authorized user on, I sell my service and I sell spots where you can become an authorized user on a trade line. And you typically want to do this maybe a month or two before you plan to go apply for like a car, a home, or getting funding, whether it's like a personal loan, line of credit, or whatever the case may be. And in addition to the trade lines, you want to make sure your credit report is structured correctly. So you want to make sure you have 100% payment history, making all your payments on time with your credit accounts. Credit card utilization, you want that to be below 10%. So a lot of people will tell you 20 or 30%, but if you want it to have the most optimal impact on your score, you want to be between 1 and 2% with your credit card utilization. You want to have no derogatory marks, so no collection accounts, no charge-offs. You want to make sure that's cleaned off your report. You want to have at least 5 years average age of credit history. So that's average of the last open account you have and the longest account that you have on your report. Authorized user trade lines can help add age to your credit report. So, for example, let's say you add, you become an authorized user on a credit card that's 15 years old. That'll help increase your average age. So that's one of the benefits of the authorized user trade lines. So you want to have that average age, at least 5 years old. You want to have at least 10 open accounts on your profile on each bureau. So you want to have at least 10 open accounts. That can be a mix of student loans, secured cards, auto loan, credit cards. So just having 10 open positive accounts reporting on each credit bureau. And then you want to have no more than 3 hard inquiries on each credit bureau as well. So if you could structure your credit report in this manner, then you'll be ready to add a couple authorized user trade lines on your credit report. And then we can go apply for some funding, or you could go get that home or that car loan, whatever the case may be.
Okay. I really had a question on this one because this really pertained a lot to like what I've experienced in the past. So when I was first going to buy my house a couple of years ago, I had like 2 months of credit altogether in my name because I was like 21 years old and I just got a credit card for the first time. So my credit was really young, but it was good. It was just young. So banks look at you like you're just like we don't know what you're capable of. We don't know what you may do. So we don't even want to lend to you because we don't know you yet. Like you don't have any history. So I was in a situation where I was like, maybe I need to get a co-signer. I need to do something like that. And my dad, thankfully, had great credit. But they tried to make him a co-signer on my loan, and I was still bringing it down so much to the point where they didn't want me to be on a loan at all, because I only had, like I said, 2 months of credit. And even with him as a co-signer, they still looked at us as a red flag, as a joint partnership. And so what my loan officer had told me was about the authorized user method, where he told my dad, if you put me as an authorized user on the on one of his credit cards, which like had 20 years worth of history on it, that would boost my credit score up and give me all of his history. So I had a card that was open up for 2 months, and then I took his history that was for like 20 years, and that gave me an average history of 10 years. That was my first time ever seeing it in action. I was like, and my score probably jumped up by like I don't know, like 50 points just within like in a matter of maybe a day. And that was like really eye-opening to me. I was like, that's the information that people lack before that is not like readily available today. And so you start talking a little bit more into like you have to make sure if you want to do something like this as a business, make sure your entire credit portfolio is like situated well. So what my question for you now is, if you're trying to add an authorized user, what are they getting onto their credit history? Is it because for me, I know I just got the credit card, not everything else that was attached to my dad's credit history. So why is that so important to like have your entire credit portfolio in order as the person that's giving out the authorized users slots?
So actually, as the person giving out the authorized user spots, you don't have to have your credit intact. So you could have a 500 credit score, but as long as you have that credit card that's in good standing, it has some age on it, so maybe it's been open for 6 or 7 years, and your credit card utilization on that card is low, below 10%, you can sell authorized user spots on that card. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to have your credit report structured how I was just laying it out. But that's how you want to have it structured if you want to become an authorized user on the card. So if you want to create a business off of the trade lines, your credit doesn't have to be, 700, 750 plus. You just have to have the cards or access to the cards where you can add authorized users to.
How were you able to, were all those lines of credit that you got, the 37.5, was that all strictly personal credit, or was that some of that business credit, or how did you structure that? Was, because I know one thing I experienced when I was getting my truck was I was trying to get it 100% debt in my business. And I didn't want it in my name because I was buying real estate. I'm still buying real estate. So I'm trying to keep my name as good as, possible so I can load it up with real estate debt. So I didn't want to put the trucking debt on there. So, I was able to do it after a bunch of headache, but, in months of trials. But how were you able to, structure it? Was that all personal, or was it some of it business, or how was that?
It was all personal. So that 37.5 was all personal lines of credit. We also had a $9,000 business line of credit with American Express. So we had a business credit card with American Express, $9,000, no interest for 12 months. So we utilized that as well. So we had a total of $46,000 in funding outside of the cash that we provided as well. So we used $9,000 from the business and then the $37,000 from my personal line of credit.
So, okay, answer as far as a new business, right? Because let's say someone's listening and, they want to get into trucking. Let's say they want to get into trucking and they want to, go and do something similar, like same way you did, but they don't necessarily want to use their as much personal credit. Is there a way for them to use business credit in order to, because I from a bank's point of view, right? What I always got told and the reason I kept getting so many rejections was because I didn't have any experience in the industry experience. That's what all the banks kept telling me. Like I can tell you vividly, one day I went to 10 straight banks and I got rejected by them all because I didn't have any industry experience. So how can someone go about getting, business credit to fund, a truck or whatever the case may be, if they want to do it 100% in a business?
So what I would say for that is you want to have your personal credit, pretty structured correctly. Even if you don't want to use your personal credit, you want to have it structured in the manner where you have the 10 open accounts, 100% payment history. You want to have all that, meet all of those data points on your personal credit profile. And you want to start building out your business credit with net 30 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So net 30 accounts allow you to build up your business credit without using your personal credit.
Yeah.
It starts establishing, your business. So you want to open up at least 5 net 30 accounts. So we have like Uline, Quill, Granger, Strategic Network Solutions, Suma Office Supplies, Crown Office Supplies. It's a bunch of different net 30 companies that you can get net 30 accounts up with. So you want to set that up first, start applying for some store business accounts as well. So once you have those net 30 accounts and they're reporting on your business credit profile, you want to have at least 10 more accounts reporting on your business credit profile as well. So that can consist of fuel cards. Yeah. So fuel cards are super easy to open up on the business profile. So that's like BP, Shell, 7-Eleven, Exxon. So just getting a bunch of fuel cards. So those are the easiest. And then maybe adding like a Staples Business More account, HD Supply, which is a subsidiary of Home Depot. You could get a store business account with them. You can get Amazon business credit cards. So building out your business credit profile before you go to apply for unsecured business credit cards.
Yeah.
So building out your business credit profile correctly, where you get those net 30 accounts. So getting 5 of those, getting 10 business store accounts. So you could get majority fuel cards, and then you could get Staples, Lowe's, HD Supply, Amazon. So getting 10 store business accounts, and then going to the banks and applying for unsecured business credit cards. So what I do is I look for 0% interest business credit cards. So you have like SunTrust, BB&T, Regions, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Capital One, Discover, American Express, they all offer 0% interest credit cards. What you can do is you can apply for those credit cards once you've built out your business credit with the net 30s and the store business accounts. So once you build out your business credit and your personal credit is structured correctly and meeting all those data points, you can apply for these 0% interest business credit cards, and you'll get approved. So like with American Express, they'll approve you as long as your personal credit is good, even if you haven't built out your business credit profile with the net 30s and the store business accounts.
Yeah.
So I was able to get American Express business credit cards that was 0% interest for 12 months without having to build out my net 30s and my store accounts. So with them, you can get it right off the bat. With the other banks, you may need to build out your net 30s and your store accounts. And another thing you want to do is you want to open up business accounts with some of these banks. So you want to open up business accounts with some of these banks to start establishing that relationship with them. So you want to start putting deposits in to these business bank accounts so they can see you have money coming in. And then maybe a couple months down the line, you can go apply for the business credit.
And that's a fact, because I had did the Amex one, and I got 30,000 for my trucking business actually without having ever built the net 30 retail or vendor accounts before. And I actually just started reading about this week, and I was like, oh shoot. So I actually, I did it, but I didn't know I was doing it. So what I'm starting to do now is doing exactly what you said. I'm building the other one so I can get the other lines of credits with the other banks. And so one thing I saw when I was researching and reading and talking to people about is that, well, number one, obviously the net 30 accounts are going to help you. Those are like the stores, the vendors, those retail cards. Those are going to help you build your business credit so that you can get approved with those other banks, right? And then one thing I saw though is that, and I didn't even know this, I literally learned this week, that I didn't know that business credit was reported differently than how personal credit is reported, as far as like repayment, right? So they actually reward you for paying significantly before the due date.
Due date. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk more about like that and how much of a factor plays? Because I know they said like the score is like a 75 is like a good score to be at, and then
for your Paydex.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk more about the timeline for repaying those retail cards off, so that people know, like, yo, don't be waiting even until the due date to try to pay these cards off. Pay them as soon as as soon as the balance comes, right?
Right. So basically what Alex was talking about is the Paydex score. So with your Paydex score, you'll get a Paydex score once you have 5 trade lines reporting on your business credit. So even before then, you want to get what's called a Dun and Bradstreet number. Mm-hmm. So you want to get a D&B number. It's a 9-digit number. You want to get that with Dun and Bradstreet. Once you get that, you'll be able to apply for the net 30 accounts. You get approved for those net 30 accounts, and whenever you'll be using the net 30 account to purchase inventory. So you'll be using the net 30 terms to purchase inventory. You won't be using your actual business debit card to pay for the inventory. So you'll be using the net 30 account. With the net 30 account, they will invoice you. So they'll send you an invoice. These net 30 businesses, Uline, Quill, Granger, all of these businesses, they'll send you an invoice. And on that invoice, there'll be a due date. So let's say, for instance, the due date is March the 14th. So let's say you purchased something today. They sent you an invoice, and your invoice is due on March the 14th. You want to pay the invoice off today. So you want to pay the invoice off today and let the net 30 company report that payment to Dun and Bradstreet. They'll report that you paid it 30 days before the due date. And that will help you maintain a 100 Paydex score for your business credit profile. Because you want to be between 80 and 100 for your Paydex score. So paying your invoice 30 days before the due date will help you to get as high to the 100 Paydex score as possible.
So quick question on because you mentioned Uline and the Quibi one and the other one you mentioned, because you said inventory. So are you actually buying products from those companies as far as like what they offer, or are you using that to buy other stuff and they pay, it's like their credit? What is that? Because I saw it and I wasn't sure about it. I didn't look too much into it.
So you have to purchase inventory from their website. So they'll have like random stuff, and you just want to purchase something at least $75 worth. And, you purchase it using the net 30 terms. They'll give you an invoice. You pay the invoice off using your business debit card, and then they'll report that payment to Dun & Bradstreet. And once you have 5 payment experiences reporting to Dun & Bradstreet, you'll get a Paydex score that's generated.
Only need 5.
You only need 5.
Wow. So I can go buy 5 $75 items and then generate my Paydex score.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I'm trying to get these into practical steps now for everybody listening, because I know I'm about to listen to this again myself, because this is like gold information, and I hope this is all in the course, because people need to go cop that as well. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
So the first step, if you're looking to start taking action on getting your business credit up, so I think the first step you say get a Dun & Bradstreet number. So I type in Dun & Bradstreet in Google and just I'm able to find it that way.
It's dnb.com.
Okay, yep. dnb.com. So I got that set up.
And then even before then, you want to set your LLC up for funding. So by funding, I mean you want to set your LLC up where you have a virtual office.
Yeah.
So there's websites you can get virtual offices from. Regus, rugus.com. You got I Postal One. But with the virtual office address, you want to make sure whenever you Google that virtual office address, that a commercial building pops up on Google Images. So you don't want it to be a mail center, because some of these virtual office companies it'll just be a mail center. You want to make sure that address that you use for your LLC is actually a commercial building. Because what happens is whenever you go into the bank to open up a business bank account, they're going to ask you for your business address, and they're going to Google your business address to see where your business is located. So this is why it's important when it comes to funding. You want to make sure that you have a virtual office with a commercial building. Then you want to make sure you got your 800 number. So you don't want to use your personal number for your business. So an 800 number or a free Google Voice number. Yeah. You want to make sure that you also, so you got your virtual office, your 800 number. You want to make sure you got your operating agreement. So you want to have that intact, because some banks require that. But basically, you want to structure your business where when you go to the bank, it looks like it's a legit business.
Yeah.
You also want to get your professional email. So you want to purchase a domain. You could get that from Google Domains or GoDaddy. And a domain is basically your internet real estate. Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to use your domain for your website URL as well as for your email. So instead of having, marlintrucking@gmail.com, you would have info or support at marlintrucking.com.
Right.
So you want to have that professional email in addition to the virtual office, the business number. So you want to make sure you have all of that in place before you go and apply for the Dun & Bradstreet number and then setting up those net 30 accounts.
And how important is getting that phone number listed in a directory as far as getting it, because I know these banks are checking, I don't know what they're checking, but apparently they're checking a lot to verify that it's a legitimate business.
Yeah, so that's important. I don't know the level of importance, but I put that in my course as well. You want to be listed in the 411 directory.
Yeah.
So you want to be listed in there. You want to be able to, you want businesses to be able to Google you and find you. So you want to be listed on Google My Business.
Yeah.
And you also want to make sure you have a NAV account, NAV. So that's like Credit Karma, but for businesses. So NAV, it will show you your business credit scores for Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Mm-hmm. So you want to set up a NAV account, NAV. They have a free plan. It won't show you your score, but it will show you your grade. So to show you whether you got like a grade A with Dun & Bradstreet or whatever. The paid plan, which is $40 a month, it'll show you your actual scores and the trade lines that's reporting to that particular business credit bureau. So those are some of the things you want to set up with your LLC prior to getting your Dun & Bradstreet.
Would you recommend people using their home address, or do you say get a virtual address with a commercial space?
You can use your home address because even with COVID right now, people are still able to get funding by using their home address.
Yeah.
But I think it just depends. So it just kind of depends on what type of business you're getting into and what your goals is in terms of funding.
Yeah. Okay, that's legit. Well, Marlon, continue with those steps. Now you got all that info.
Right. So now we got the Dun & Bradstreet. The net 30 accounts came after the DNB. If you got all that set up, or that came before. Just I'm trying to make sure I follow along. I'm gonna have to listen to all this again. This is great info though.
So it comes after.
Right. Okay.
The net 30 companies will ask you for your Dun & Bradstreet number when you're filling out the application. So that comes after. When you get approved with the net 30 accounts, you want to make a purchase of at least $75 with each net 30 company. And then once you make that purchase, the net 30 companies will send you an invoice. So you have an invoice and you'll pay that off using your business debit card.
And pay it off as soon as possible, right?
Invoice, as soon as possible. Once you pay that off, most net 30 companies will report by the end of the month. So they'll report to Dun & Bradstreet by the end of the month. Once you get that Paydex score established, then you can apply for the store accounts. So now we can move on to the next level with the fuel business cards. So like Shell, BP, 7-Eleven, as many fuel cards as you can, apply for all of those, because the name of the game is building out your business credit profile the same way you want to build out your personal credit profile. We want to get funding for our business, so you want to build it out as many store accounts as you can. And with the store accounts, there's no minimum payment required. So you could just use it every now and then, pay it off, let it report to the bureaus. And then once you have at least 10 of those store accounts, then you can go into the funding where you apply for the no interest business credit cards. And then we have ways where we can liquidate and pull the cash out of those 0% interest business credit cards, where you can have that money in your business bank account within 1 to 2 days.
Oh yeah, y'all got to get the course for that.
Yeah, hold on, I ain't gonna reveal all that.
We ain't even gonna put that on here. we gonna hook you up, bro. Y'all got to get the course for that.
Bro, this is golden information. Like, if y'all trying to like expand y'all business, this is the dude to tap into. Like, this is better than I even expected it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be good, but this has been great. I don't even want to. Do you have any more that you want to go into, Alex? Just because we're gonna be holding for a minute, I feel like.
Hey, we could keep going, man. So it's a lot of information in my course. It's a 4-week program, and we have sessions every Monday and Wednesday. So it'll be like a 1 to 1.5 hour session every Monday and Wednesday. The first week is all about starting your LLC up correctly for funding, building up your business credit so you can get business funding. Second week is focused on how to repair credit using all the methods that I know, how to start up your own credit repair business, and then how to scale it and automate it so you're not the one doing all the work. Third week is how to build out a credit report. So adding positive trade lines, so primary trade lines and authorized user trade lines. Yeah. Primary trade lines, those are accounts that you open up in your name. So like secured credit cards, different primary accounts. I show people how to make a trade line business. I show them how they can make potentially $100,000 a year off the trade line business. I also show them how you can get funding. So I show you how you can get anywhere between 50 and 100,000 in personal funding that you can use to start up your own business as well. Mm-hmm. I show you how you can make a consulting business out of that funding business as well. So you can charge people a 10% consulting fee when you show them how to get funding. So you can help them get funding, charge a 10% fee based on how much you get them approved with. So I have a sequence of banks that you can get personal funding with, and you can use that to start up your own business. Week 4, I show you how you can manufacture spend. So manufacture spending is basically purchasing merchandise, usually high-end merchandise and jewelry, using credit cards. So it could be a 0% interest credit card or a rewards credit card. You return the merchandise, but you get the money refunded on your debit card. So now, let's say you got a $10,000 credit card. You went and bought an Alexander McQueen jacket, and you refunded the jacket, but you got the money refunded on the debit card. Now you got $10,000 in your bank account. You got a $10,000 balance on your credit card. Let's say that credit card is 0% interest for 12 months. You don't have to pay that credit card off until a year. You got $10K in your bank account. Now you can use that as leverage and, create a cash flow asset.
Hold up. Is that so? That's actually legal. People are actually doing that legally.
Yeah, you could Google manufacturer spending. It's legal.
Manufacturer spending, bro. This is changing the game, bro. This is access to shoot. So, man, if y'all don't cop this course, the return on investment sounds infinite right now at this point.
So then the course shows you how to start your credit repair business. It shows you how to get business funding, and then it shows you how you can get consulting, how you can make money consulting. So it's 3 streams of income within one course. So that's a whole lot of game. But man, that's amazing, man.
So the manufacturer spending, that's week 4. I show you how you can get luxury cars and not pay for them. So I had an Audi A7. I didn't pay for it for a year straight. So I was able to rent it out, not pay for it for a year straight. So I show people how I did that. I show people how they can get economy cars and cash flow $1,000 a month from economy cars. I also show them how they can get started in trucking, and I show them how I'm able to make $20,000 plus a month in revenue off the trucking business. So that's pretty much what the course entails. It's usually $2,000 for the 4-week course, but it's $997. It's discounted at $997 right now. 4-week program. I have the one-on-one sessions as well. That's typically $3,000, but it's discounted at $1997. So I have the one-on-one session if you want to just talk to me one-on-one, and I have the group mentorship course as well.
Yeah, man, that's legit, man. And I know for me, I like to invest at least $5,000 a year into my education every year. So, that might have to take, 20% of that might be
right.
Having to go to you this year. So,
nah, bro, you giving people 6 to 7 streams of income based on that investment of $1,000, $1997, either one of those. Like, you're giving people like 6 or 7 streams of income that they can go make hundreds of $1,000s off of. So, man, you're gonna get it's almost infinite ROI based on that. And I just commend you for taking the time to learn all this information and sharing the game with everybody else, bro. That's game changing for a lot of people. So and we're gonna leave a link in the bio for sure, so everybody be able to go copy from you
in the description.
And then I forgot to answer your question earlier, Marlon. So you asked, you wanted to get into the numbers. You wanted to see how much money I make. So basically, with my credit business, I'm hovering around $20K a month with my credit business. With my trade, so that's credit repair, that's the trade lines, that's the mentorship. So I'm hovering around $20K with that. With the trucking business, we're hovering around $25,000 right now a month. So that's $45,000 total. I still have my corporate job as well, so I work in IT. That's another $5,000 a month. So I'm around $50K a month right now. And I still got to get into real estate like you got.
Hey, man. Hey, you. I know you was talking about Valentine's earlier. Who you got? I know you got a girl right now.
Yeah, I do.
Hey, man. She got her a good one.
She hooked up.
Got her
Set of life.
Man, that's legit though. That's legit. I appreciate you spreading this knowledge, bro. This has been dope. A ton of info here. I don't know if we've done an episode with so much raw value as much as this one, because this is just very eye-opening for a lot of people. Because I feel like this is, I know, there's people, they talk about like, this is some of the stuff that you can't Google. Like this is, some people are teaching it, some people aren't. Some people, it's very hard to find. This is not, I don't know how many books there are about this kind of stuff, because I feel like it's a relatively, in this whole new information age that's pretty new as far as courses and all that kind of stuff. I don't see a lot of people talking about business credit and that kind of stuff. I mean, I know Ellie does. She does a lot of that kind of stuff. Ellie talks money, so. But
it's becoming a thing, but it hasn't been in the past. So this is definitely the time to start taking advantage of the information that's out there.
Yeah, there's opportunity to do, this kind of stuff. Definitely. If you want to start a business, a credit repair business, there's definitely opportunity for that, especially in, Black community. So anyone that is looking to get into it, tap in with DeAngelo. We're going to put the info in the description, and there'll be, I'm sure you'll find a ton of more value in the course than what you got here today. Other than that, man, I appreciate you coming on here. This has been dope.
I appreciate y'all for having me, man.
Yes, sir. That's it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you learned something of value today. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us 5 stars. You can find out more info about us on Twitter at the Monopolizers or on IG at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there that'll keep you engaged. So check that out and share those posts. But until then, we're out of here.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time